Hello, friends. If it's Sunday, it's the Bach Cantata SCHLEP. And for today's SCHLEP, we're up to BWV number 3. Cantata number 3. That's 3 down and 197 to go in our survey of all the Bach sacred cantatas. Now, BWV3 has a much nicer text than the horror show, which was BWV2. I only have to mention these things and the cat goes nuts, you see? So BWV3 is called Ach Gott, wie manches Herzeleid, which translates into, oh God, how much heartache. I mean, if it were in Yiddish, it would be, oy vey, have we got tsuris? I mean, that's what it is. And in modern scientific parlance, it would be, NASA, we've got a problem. And believe it or not, this is, for Bach, an optimistic cantata. This is a happy cantata, more or less, because you might say, it's the Lutheran equivalent of a personal empowerment seminar. Although in this case, it's a personal non-empowerment seminar or personal helplessness seminar. The text essentially says this: life is horrible, life is miserable, everything sucks, but if you suffer in silence and believe in Jesus, then even though this life is going to be horrible, when you're dead, at least you'll go to heaven. That's about as much solace as this particular branch of Christianity seems to offer, and Bach seizes on it with relish. Now, like many of the we've done 2, all right, like the other 2 cantatas we've already done, this is a chorale cantata. That is a cantata which is based on a Lutheran chorale. And of course the chorale is Ach Gott, wie manches Herzeleid. Oh God, how much heartache. And the form of the cantata is rather standardized by now, and by now we do know what it is. If you've seen these other 2 videos, you have an opening chorus, which is shaped as a chorale fantasia. That is, it gives you the tune of the chorale in long notes in one of the vocal parts. In this case, it's the bass part, while the other parts execute sort of contrapuntal doodads around it. And in this case, as in BWV1, it's all framed by a beautiful instrumental ritornello, or main theme, which alternates with statements of the chorale, line by line. Now, the orchestration of this cantata is for 2 oboes d'amour, a horn, a trombone, and strings. Now, the horn and trombone you'll never hear because they only play the chorale line accompanying the chorus, and they just blend in with the voices. An oboe d'amour is remember we heard last time in BWV number 1, 2 oboes da caccia, hunting oboes, which were pastoral sort of English horn type things. Well, an oboe d'amour is sort of between that and a normal oboe. It's a little bit lower in tone than the normal oboe and a little bit sweeter. And again, it's another one of those instruments that was invented around Bach's time. It was used in Germany, principally in German cantatas. It's a lovely instrument. It completely disappeared after the high Baroque period, and then it reappeared at the end of the 19th century in pieces like, Strauss's Symphonia Domestica, where it represents the baby, or Mahler used it in his Rückertlied, Mitternacht, at midnight. It has a distinct tone, and Bach uses 2 of them. It's really kind of amazing how many instruments Bach had on hand. I mean, he used them all, and you're never quite sure with Bach whether he used them because he had some very keen sense of their unique timbral possibilities, or it just happened to be what was laying around, and he wanted to give it something to do, because he writes like everything, voices, instruments, it doesn't matter. He writes for all of them exactly the same way. Again, we don't know whether it's because he really expected people to play what he wrote, or he just didn't give a damn whether they could or not. It was one or the other. But in any case, we've got in this particular cantata the opening choral fantasy, and then two recitative aria pairs, two arias, and then a closing chorale. And that's the whole form of the thing. And in this particular case, the first recitative is very, very interesting. It's a chorale recitative. In other words, the chorus sings another line of the chorale. Each phrase is broken up with actual recitation in which the text sort of expounds on the line of chorale that the chorus has just sung before we get to an aria. Now, like I said, the words are what they are, but the general sense of them, and you don't need to get into them specifically, and it might be too depressing if you try, but the general sense of them is consolation amidst suffering. That's the import of the whole text. And nobody, and I mean this very seriously, all joking aside, nobody did consolation amidst suffering better than Bach. That was like if someone could say on your resume, what's your specialty? Bach would have put down consolation amidst suffering. And you hear it magnificently in the opening ritornello of the initial chorus, where you have the two oboes d'amour playing an absolutely exquisite melodic line that's shot with dissonance. It wants to be easeful and lyrical and lovely, but it's constantly disturbed by an undercurrent of really harsh, really sharp dissonance, actually, when you think about it. And it's incredibly affecting, very, very moving, and it exactly conveys that idea, the idea of consolation amidst suffering. And as usual, we have Helmut Rilling's complete Bach cantata cycle with the Stuttgart Bach Academy on Hänssler Classic. They're marvelous performances. And I'm going to play you, listen to this opening ritornello. It really is extraordinary. Have a listen. See what I mean? I mean, it's consolation amidst suffering. It's a beautiful musical embodiment of that concept. So after the opening chorus, as I said, you have this chorale slash recitative, and then the first aria. Now, the first aria is a bit of a problem in this cantata. It's a continuo aria. Now, a continuo aria is, just like it sounds, an aria accompanied only by the continuo, which in this case it can be a harpsichord or an organ, some sort of keyboard instrument with a cello to play the bass line or the tune, as the case may be. And a continuo aria is just a jazzed up version of a song accompanied by a piano or a lute or a guitar or anything else. That's all it is. But this one is written for solo bass. And the continuo being a bass line anyway, and the bass singer being a bass, and the bass voice being rather heavy because it's a bass voice and not as agile as the lighter voices, and and Bach being Bach and not really caring what the bass voice could or could not do, the result is a very gnarly, prowly kind of, I mean, it's not an unhappy aria particularly, but it's inherently dark and kind of naughty. And you might call the continuo aria, it's kind of like the fast food of Baroque vocal writing, because there's no additional accompaniment, there's no counterpoint of other instruments. It's just this sort of heavy chordal thing on the bottom, and and the bass tootling around sort of in the middle of it. And like fast food, it's kind of heavy and greasy sounding. Here's the ritornello. You'll get a sense of what I mean. It's not something that you're going to play for like relaxation.
Empfind ich hellen Angst und Pein, empfind ich hellen Angst und Pein, hellen Angst und Pein.
See what I mean? I'm not going back to that one. Then there's another recitative, and then there's a really lovely, beautiful duet. It's not just an aria, it's a duet for soprano and alto with violins and the oboes d'amour playing in counterpoint to the voices. And it's very, very beautiful. I mean, now, thank God. And, you can see that Bach is trying to achieve the maximum contrast that he can within the very, very small and restricted form of the cantata as a whole. I mean, you've got the recitative mixed with the chorale to begin with, then the bass aria, which is as stripped down as you can possibly do, and then another recitative, and then a richly scored aria for strings and oboes and two singers, and then the final chorale. But both of these arias are da capo arias, that is, they're an A-B-A form, where you supposedly ornament the return of the A section, although in Bach that's sort of academic because his writing is already so complicated and full of stuff that you really might not want to add much. But here is the ritornello and entry of the two soloists in the second aria, which is actually a duet. Bach calls it an aria duet. And it has three parts, really, because you've got the instrumental accompaniment and you've got the two singers. It's very, very lovely. And there you have it. That's BWV number 3. It certainly is not as miserable as BWV number 2, but, when you're dealing with these theological texts, you're often dealing with comparative levels of misery. And this is only sort of moderate misery, or misery with a chance of relief, maybe only after you're dead. But beggars can't be choosers. That's something with which I think Lutheran theological world would agree. And this actually is a text that includes the famous phrase, the spirit is willing but the flesh is weak. And with that happy thought, I leave this Bach cantata SCHLEP. And next week, we move on to BWV number 4. And the excitement. At least this one somewhat relieved the gloom, or replaced it with a more appetizing kind of gloom. Keep on listening, folks. Take care.